Okay. There you are live on YouTube. I'm just going to invite our guests online into the meeting. You're all set. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. And that we do have members, presenters who will be joining us on Zoom today. So please be sure to raise your hands and I'll call on you to speak on a matter. So we'll get started with calling the roll. Please raise your hand and state your presence when I call your name. Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Councilor Watt.
Present.
Councilor Reward.
Present.
Councilor Watt. Or Councilor Johnston.
Present.
And myself, Mayor Heather Watson. And of course we have staff attending. Our clerk, Martina Chickenhartway, good afternoon, and CAO, Lana Arthurs. So with quorum in attendance, I will call the meeting to order. The purpose of today's meeting is to kick off the Township Strategic Plan Project. So we'll start with the land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that we are on the treaty and traditional territory of the Nichi-Sagig Anishinaabe. We offer our gratitude to the First Peoples for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations. May we honor those teachings. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Hearing nothing, could I please get an adoption of the agenda for this meeting? Councilor Reward, seconded by Councilor Johnston, all in favor? And that motion carries. And with that, I'd like to welcome, we've got a number of people joining us today to go over our strategic plan. We've got Lynn Vanderlyn, Eric Lockhart, and Michael Hay with Corey Consulting. And we're kicking off the presentation of our strategic plan project. Lynn, did you want to do any intro before you?
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think you've done a great job. I can only see Lynn right now, so I'm assuming the other two have joined you, but maybe you can let us know if that's not the case.
Hi, everyone. There's a little bit of an echo there for me, so I apologize. Yeah, I think I saw Eric come on screen for a little bit. He may be driving. He's usually driving between engagements, so I'll get him to come on screen and introduce himself in a little bit, as well as Michael Hay. I don't know, Michael, if you're able to turn on your camera, but I have a presentation I thought I would use to guide us through, and let me see if I can get this going here today. How do I share my screen?
Lynn, I'm just going to give you those permissions one moment.
Oh, yeah, thanks. That's why I'm just giving me a. Otherwise, I sent you the chart, so if there's any kind of mix up, you should have them in your inbox, and I sent them to you, Alana, and to you, Martina, as well. So if there's any kind of disconnect there, we can share the charts in the room.
You should be able to share your screen now.
Great. So I'm going to just put that into screen sharing mode. Are you sharing? Are you seeing my screen? Is it in like presentation mode, or are you still seeing it kind of in?
It's in the PowerPoint mode still. It's not in presentation yet.
Okay, it was just painting. There we go. Okay, well, as you mentioned, my name is Lynn Vanderlyn. I'm with Corey Consulting. I'm joined with me today with a couple of my colleagues. We're very honored and pleased to be joining you to kick off your strategic planning process. I know that you have not done a strategic plan since 2015. And so a lot has happened between 2015 and today. The world has changed quite a bit. So very excited to be partnering with you as we embark on this strategic planning process. I put together a bit of a meeting agenda for today. I thought we could do some introductions so you can get to know the engagement team. I thought we could then get into strategic plan objectives. So just make sure that we're sort of on the right page and we're using the right jumping off point. I wanted to go through a timeline of deliverables just to share with you what's expected over the next several months. And then we can talk about next steps, immediate next steps, and leave some room, some time for questions. Does that agenda sound okay? Any changes or any requests to add anything else to the agenda?
I think it's great. Carry on.
All right. So I thought we could do some introductions, and I know that I put sort of you guys first, but I'll sort of put the pressure on us first. So once again, my name is Lynn Vanderlind. I lead an advisory service practice here with Corey Consulting. Corey is headquartered in Ottawa, but we've got clients all across Canada, mostly in Ontario, and mostly focused on government strategic initiatives. I started my career in finance. And then I spent 17 years with IBM doing strategic client engagements. After 17 years, I probably got a little restless, jumped to Canadian Blood Services. I was asked to launch their brand. Spent a lot of time in various communities across Canada, meeting donors and potential donors and the great cause of Canadian Blood Services. And then I think I kind of got itchy to go back to my roots as a management consultant and joined Corey Consulting a few years ago. I live in a small community just south of Ottawa. My husband and I have raised our two boys there for 23 years. I've even participated in launching a music fest in Kemptville. So I'm very connected to not just on the work front, but on the personal front and within my own community, economic development, economic initiatives. And so just wanted to share a little bit about myself and my excitement to be partnering with all of you. So I think maybe what I'll do is I'll just hand things off to the rest of my team. So Eric Lockhart and Michael Hayes. So maybe Eric, you can introduce yourself and the role that you're going to play on this engagement, and then we can hand it off to Michael.
Great, thanks. My video, first of all, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. And I hope my video is working.
Yes.
So thanks, Lynn. And I think I also am really excited to be part of this project. I'm a facilitator based out of Kingston. Today I'm in between engagements in Buffalo this morning and in Halton Hills doing some priority setting with some councils. And looking forward to starting this project. I facilitate strategy, and I've been doing it for 29 winters, I guess, 29 years, I mean, and certainly worked with a lot of municipal councils this year since the election, probably, I think about 28 now in the last 6 months. So I am, as I say, facilitator and affiliated with the Queen's School of Business. But in this engagement, I'm with Lockhart Facilitation and working with Lynn and Michael to hopefully hit a home run for you in terms of a roadmap for the next 4 or 5 years. That's me. Happy to answer any questions, but over to Michael.
Thanks, Eric. And I can see I'm in good hands with Lynn and Eric. I'm new to their team and came on recently and have had a life in strategic planning and in Northern Ontario, a lot of it up in Thunder Bay and Sudbury, and certainly appreciate the stress that goes with living in a small community, but also the beauty of living in a small community. And I'm super excited to work with Lynn and Eric on your strategic plan. And my role will be mostly in the background, but working closely with Eric and Lynn to make sure that that you guys get a product that you can really use. It's one of the big things that we really want a strategic plan that resonates with you guys, and hoping that that we can get you to where you need to go.
Great.
Wonderful. So I thought maybe, and I truly apologize. I guess when I went to share my charts, I turned off my camera. So I was very animated with speaking to all of you, and I realized that you probably didn't see me. So huge apologies for that. But I thought maybe we could just do a very quick roundtable. You all know each other, and in fact, we've done some research on all of you. You've got all of your biographies up online, but we thought we would just give an opportunity to do a quick roundtable of those of you in the room, and then we can get going on the rest of the agenda.
Sure. So I will start. Heather Watson, Mayor, of course. This is my first term as mayor, although I served on council 1 term prior. In my private sector work, I have been involved in many a strategic plan, and I've actually facilitated and written strategic plans for clients in the past, in both the private sector and for profit. So I'm really excited to be able to work with you and your team to get us to a point where we have something that we can work from and go through the process with you all. Deputy Mayor Nelson?
Yes, I'm Harold Nelson. I'm a lifelong resident of the township and first term in council. I was a lifer at the county for 19 years and then the township as a manager role with the roads department.
That's a what?
Thank you. My name is Tom Lott. This is my 5th term of council. Always in the same position, councillor at large. And I've lived in the township here since 1968, so I've been here quite a long time. When it was just Dummer Township before the amalgamation. And Lynn, I'll just touch on one thing that you touched on there because it's a bright point to me anyhow. When you're with Canadian Blood Services, I do that on a regular basis. I just gave my 155th donation last month.
Awesome. That calls for a round of applause. That's amazing. Good job.
Blood, not platelets. A lot of people question that.
Councilor Report.
Yes, Adam Report. I just moved to the area in 2018 from Western Ontario. Currently have a dairy farm and work for a real estate management firm based out of Toronto. My first term on council and in previous roles did quite a bit of strategic planning work with the chartered bank, not so much in the public sector, but looking forward to this new opportunity here.
And Councilor Johnson.
Yeah, I'm Ray Johnston, councillor of Douro-Dummer. I was on council in the past when it was just strictly Douro. And I've lived in the township here now for 50 years. And I run my own heating and air conditioning business for 50 years. And I was off last term, but I'm back on council this term.
Great, thanks for that. Lynn, back over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate that. So what I wanted to do was just let you know that Alana and the team have shared some background materials. Some of those included the service delivery and operational review that you conducted in 2020, and then the resulting service delivery implementation tracker. So just wanted to commend you on that. It's quite detailed, but also actionable, and very pleased to see that you have this tracker in place. I'll connect back with Alana and team just to see sort of when the last time or the frequency with which you are using that tracker. The community strategic plan as well, that was done in 2015. And then the SWOT, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that were done in 2011, that kind of fed into that 2015 community strategic plan. So we had some, yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did Alana also provide you, we did a SWOT analysis earlier in the spring. Do you have, Alana saying, who's got what? I just want to make sure that you have that information. So we could go through
Yes, yeah. Thank you. That was one of my questions. So it wasn't dated. So we have the full SWOT analysis, and I wasn't sure if it was the 2011 SWOT analysis or if it was a more recent one. So very pleased to know that this was done most recently. So that's good because we can use that as kind of our jumping off point. So that was one of my questions that I was going to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
So some of the questions as well with regards to the service delivery model, I wanted to understand the frequency with which you're revisiting the tracker. And by no means do we want to get into sort of the details today, but these are some of the questions that we may want to delve into with Alana and the management team. And then we wanted to get an idea as to sort of, what elements of your 2015 strategic plan do you want to keep? So when I kicked off the meeting today, I did say that the world was completely different in 2015. And it may have been a different world. There may have been a completely different vision, or the vision that you have today, which is dedicated to building our future while respecting our past. That may be your jumping off point. So we certainly don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but we want to make sure that we're kind of coming from the right jumping off place. And the same with your mission statement. So I just want to commend you on that strategic plan. We certainly don't want to, we're happy to start from scratch, but we certainly want to kind of build on the good work that you and the township have already done. So I'll just pause there and see if there's any questions. Those were just some of the, they're not all the framing questions, but some of those framing questions that we wanted to just table for today.
Okay, great, thank you. Council, any questions on all the questions? Any comments on what you've heard so far? No. The only comment that I can add as it relates specifically to the vision and mission statement, again, I believe when we sat down as with council and staff earlier this year, we talked about that. I can't recall exactly where we were going with it though. Alana, do you have? Did we have any resolve on that as a group? No.
Through Mayor Watson, I think we did have a discussion about whether it was still relevant and certainly some discussion on how it might be modified, but we did not have any final consensus on making any changes specifically.
Right.
Okay.
Any recall from council on that or? Okay. So it's inconclusive. I think we are looking for a refresh for sure. I remember one common theme was that, you know, aside from the message of those statements, it sounded very sterile and like it was probably on every municipality's vision statement, very canned and didn't really any longer reflect the flavor of where things are today. Council, any thoughts on whether we want to start fresh or keep Council Verwoerd?
To Mayor Watson, I think that what we have here in terms of vision and mission statement is a starting point, but a refresh is necessary. I think just these are quite dated. I think we want to keep the flavor of what's here, but just update it for what we got today. It's a different world than 2015.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other comments from council? Nothing? Back over to you, Lynn.
Sorry, through Mayor Watson, I was just trying to recall with Martina. I thought when we started this whole process, even before we came together and did the SWOT analysis stuff, we actually brought a report forward identifying the previous strategic plan, what we had accomplished, and what was still outstanding. So if my memory serves me correctly, I think we have that, Lynn, and I probably could have shared that with you earlier, but as you were talking, it didn't dawn on me until now that we might have that, which might be helpful.
I think that would be great. And I think your point is well taken around, you know, that you know, it's a good jumping off point. It's a little generic. You know, obviously you're looking to build a future. You have to respect the past. You want to stay small. You want to have some room for growth. You know, like I completely get all that. I think we can use it as a jumping off point and kind of get specific on over the next 4 years, what really is the vision? And the vision is probably more than 4 years, but how are we going to get there? How are we going to fulfill that vision in the next 4 years, in the next term? So thank you for that. I appreciate that. I just wanted to check with Michael or Eric, any questions or further commentary? No? Okay. Eric?
Nothing from me.
Okay, great. Okay, good stuff. So what I thought we could do next is kind of go through some timeline, our initial timeline and some of the milestones. So we are here. We're hosting a kickoff meeting with all of you today to sort of do a signal check on the plan. We have in this first phase, so the 5 phases kind of aligned to the next 5 months. So this first aligned phase, we've reviewed and evaluated some of the documents. I'm sure there'll be some more, so we'll welcome those. We're meeting with you today, and after today, we want to make sure that we clearly define the roles that the Corey engagement team and the township team, the management team, and those who will participate more directly with us, we understand our roles and sort of the divide and conquer of the strategic planning process. Then as we get into October, we'll be looking to meet with some of the staff, probably the management team. I'll look to Alana, Martina, Mayor Watson, if there's anyone else that you want to include. And then we'll do a bit of an environmental scan, summarize some of the key issues that might be impacting the township over the next few years. And then the rubber really hits the road in our 3rd phase. So we get into sort of the conducting of the sessions. We want to meet with the township management team, lead a touch point with you. We've left room for 3 engagement sessions, hoping to do all of this kind of in one day. So probably one long day, but if we come out and do this in person, we could lead separate sessions that include the SWOT and pest analysis. And then we'll want to come back and sort of do like a concluding or summarizing meeting with the team, with the management team and those who want to participate, to identify and rank some of the goals and really start the process of creating that action plan for the next 4 years. Once we kind of nail down that date and conduct that day of engagement sessions, and we get into sort of developing the draft strategic plan, strategic roadmap. I have, just as a side note, accounted for a virtual online engagement session, and we can talk about what that looks like if we want it to be sort of more of an information to the community. If we want to engage some feedback, who needs to be engaged, so we can do that in a virtual environment as well. And sometimes a virtual session will allow for people who, accessibility wise or otherwise can't meet in person. So I'll leave that up to the team to determine whether or not that's needed. And then we'll kind of use the rest of December or January to finalize the community strategic plan, working in tandem with your team. So I'll just pause there because I know it's a little bit of an eye chart, but it kind of lays out the phases and the activities. And I want to make sure that we're hitting the right notes and we're not missing anything.
Councilor report.
Through you, Mayor Watson, just one potential concern or something for the group to think about is with the new provincial policy statement coming out. I'm expecting some things in there may alter some of the township's plans or goals over the next 5 years or whatever time period we're looking at. So I think that we need to be cognizant of potential conflict between our strategic plan and what the province is pushing forward, just to avoid having a strategic plan finished up or close to finished, then the province implementing something else, and then us having to go back and backpedal.
It's a fair point. Lynn, your team, I'm sure this isn't the first rodeo, and any comments or thoughts on that?
Well, I wonder, I would look to maybe Michael, you may have some thoughts on that in terms of how we work with you've got some experience having worked with the province, and how you would suggest we kind of sequence that and course correct if we need to, so that we're not creating something that we need to go back and redo. And you're on mute.
There you go. Yeah, sorry. Yes, the future is always uncertain. We know that for sure. Having said that, we, in that environmental scanning section, we'll definitely look at, what alignment with the latest sort of word from the province with regards to townships and municipalities in Ontario, and make sure that we can, as much as possible, get ahead of that or be aware of what's coming. So we'll definitely look into that, and I'll take a look. You've got me curious as to the timing of that as well right now. We'll take a look and see. Great point.
Okay. Any other comments on the timelines from council? Questions? It is a bit of an eye chart for sure. I thought I had pretty okay eyes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was trying to get it all on one chart, but really I could have blown it out by phase for all of you. So I can do that, and I can send around a different version so you can absorb it.
Any other questions or comments from council? No? Oh, wait, Councilor report.
Through you, Mayor Watson. Just aside from my other comment, I think that the timeline is actually pretty tight and keeps us on track and focused, because we're sitting here in September and we're hoping for delivery in January. That's a pretty impressive turnaround time, really.
Yep.
I've seen the private sector operate a lot slower than that, so if we can move that quickly in a municipal setting, this is incredibly good.
Great.
Okay, good.
Back over to you then, Lynn.
Pressure's on. So I guess just to confirm next steps, we want to confirm the timelines and the dates. You'll see from the previous chart, we had kind of earmarked a couple options or a few options in that November 13th week. So I'll circle back with Alana and team in terms of when that, when that would make sense and book that and make sure that we get that scheduled and kind of work backwards. I'd like to then build and share that final schedule of the milestones to keep us on track. As we say, it's a tight timeline, and then start to set up some one-on-one meetings with some of the champions of the strategic planning process. So that may include the management team, it may include others, depending on who you want to include. And I think that's it. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of, the strategic planning process, the timelines that we have before us, introduce you to the team, some of the initial documents that we've looked at, and kind of our next steps. So I'll just pause and see if there's any final questions.
Council, questions?
Does the public, excuse me, to the chair, does the public have any input on this at all?
I think that will depend. Yes, I think that will depend on the when we want to engage the public. And certainly we'll be working with the Alana team to identify initially, the champions of the strategic planning process and sort of the swim lanes that we want to stay within, right? So we want to make sure that we're getting, if we are going out for public engagement, who we're engaging, and also the questions that we're asking them to weigh in on. So to give you an example, one of my recent clients is actually with Public Service and Procurement Canada, around the infamous Wellington Street out front of the Parliament. And we're doing public engagement with businesses and general public around the future vocation of that street. And so we want to make sure that we're providing the public with something that they can tangibly weigh in on and that they know is a possibility, right? Like, we're not going to be putting a water park on Wellington Street, as an example. So we want to make sure that we're giving people the parameters that they can weigh in on. And I think those initial discussions, some of those one-on-one interviews, and the initial strategic session with the management team will help us sort of determine the elements of the 2015 strategic plan that we want to keep as a jumping off point, the vision where we want to go, and the plan to get there. And it will help shape or determine the parameters on how we want people to weigh in.
Are you good with that, Councillor Johnson?
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions?
Eric,
Lynn,
did you want to weigh
yeah.
in? I saw that you came on camera.
Yeah, on the public engagement, obviously it's up to you. Of the council engagements that I've had in the last 8 months, 3/4 of the councils have chosen not to go out to the public for whatever reasons. They just had an election. Public is sick of engagements or sick of being asked, you go do it yourselves. But about 4 or 5 of those 27 have chosen to do public engagements. They have chosen to do the engagements towards the end of the strategic planning process, meaning that once the initial sort of roadmap is in place, they're going out to the public to get feedback on here's what we're proposing. What do you like? What do you not like? What's missing? So I'm seeing not as many front-end public engagement approaches, at least in my experience, in rural Ontario.
Thanks for that additional comment, Eric. If I can just probe a little bit further on that. Of the 4 who have decided to do that public engagement on the tail end, what is the likelihood of any feedback being adopted or incorporated into the strategic plan? Is it kind of more of an exercise, or is it actually purposeful?
I think it's more than that's probably not for me to answer, but I think it's more than an academic exercise. I think it's a final check-in or 3/4 of the way through to say, have we missed anything? And well, one of those is still outstanding. The other 4 or 5 are completed. And I think they did incorporate a couple of the ideas that were missed from the public engagement. So, I can't say 100%, but I think we need to have, these groups that I worked with, needed to ensure that they have room towards the end to test the plan with the public while it's still in sort of draft form.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Thank you.
And that
That's a
may
good
be, sorry, I was just gonna add a little bit more to that. I think that may also be an opportunity if you want to leverage that virtual engagement, we may be able to do it in that forum. So depending on where, the audience or where the pub, how you want to engage the public. If we can't do it in person, we may be able to do it online as well. So there are some creative ways that we can do it. Just wanted to add a little bit there. We have built that into the plan.
Okay, well, it's something that I'm certain we'll take into consideration and make some decisions on in due course. Any other comments or questions from council? No? Seeing nothing? Is that it for your presentation then, Lynn?
That's it. Yeah, just wanted to give you an overview of our planning process and some of the deliverables, and make sure that you've met us, we've met you, and we know what our next steps are.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know personally I'm looking forward to moving forward with the process and getting something that council can wrap their arms around and work towards over the course of the next few years to set us up for success. So thank you for this, and we look forward to working with you.
Same here. We're very excited and look forward to meeting you in person as well whenever that time comes. And you've got a little bit of time, I guess, next ahead of your council meeting. So I'll give you the gift of time, I guess. But thank you so much. And any questions after this, please do reach out to Alana, and you can reach out directly to me or through Alana. I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions. And I did share the chart materials, so if you want to circle those, you can as well.
Great. Thank you. Good meeting you all.
Same here. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
So with that, we have nothing else on the agenda today for this particular meeting. Of course, we have our regular council meeting at 5 o'clock. Question or motion?
No question
Yeah.
about this. Can we, as this process goes along, can we kind of get little snippets of information of where it's going and how it's going? And because we're not all on the thing there, so we can actually throw in a comment or two if we need it. And like, we don't need to wait on everything, but just kind of a monthly or bi-monthly update, kind of like that, is where we are.
Through you, Mayor Watson. My expectation is that we will have our committee that will meet regularly. Our timelines are tight, so it's going to be relatively small, just so we can ensure that we can get the schedule in. Council's already quite busy with budgets and that sort of thing. So we will come back and report after every meeting. There still is opportunity where all of council is going to be engaged. I do believe too, I read quite a few proposals, but I believe in their proposal, they will do it one-on-one with each of council as well. So you will have that opportunity to provide feedback. So I don't think you will feel outside of this process at all. We will certainly come back, and I think all of council will be very much a part of it. When she had indicated sort of a management team, it was just, okay, well, what does that look like, and how best do we structure that, and given our timelines? So my thought process is, have somebody that would be your next go-to. So Martina, a representative from council, if the mayor was available, and then I thought we would bring Chuck in, just because Chuck is the only resident that is a manager, but he's also, been here for a long period of time. He's been involved in a lot of the projects that happened along the way, and I thought he would bring some great insight from his perspective. So that's my thought to get started. And certainly, though, there will be that engagement if it's one-on-one with businesses, one-on-one with each of council, and there will be certainly opportunity. They will come back and give you an update along the way on where we're at, and that will be facilitated in a council meeting.
Great. Good question. Councilor Report?
Through Mayor Watson, I do recall seeing the strategic plan update, I think, at the swearing in, like very shortly after the beginning of the council session. So Have I?
Fact.
Okay.
We found it. And I never even thought to send it, sorry, through you, Mayor Watson. I never even thought to send that to her until she said, you know, what was the old one? Where are you at? And I was like, wait a minute, we did a report. That's what started this whole process. So I will put that to her for sure.
And I do remember there was progress tracking on it in terms of where we were at. If I
Yes.
recall correctly, a bunch of it was actually already crossed off as complete, so good starting point for sure.
Elena, perhaps it would be worthwhile before any one-on-one is happening, if that report can be sent back around to council, so we can refresh it. I think it'd probably be helpful for all of us to take another look at that and revisit that vision and mission statement and put some thought to it in advance of those discussions.
I'm just wondering, should we put it back on a, what's our next meeting?
We have a committee of the whole to November on October, I think it's 10th. We could put it on that agenda.
I'm just thinking if there is discussion from council, something that, you know, you want to look at or you don't want to look at that we can take back. I'll take a look at her schedule. Maybe we go, I guess for October 2nd for council or October 10th, probably more appropriate.
Third, yeah.
Okay, maybe we'll just bring it back in that form and then it's easier than having one-on-one conversations with council if there's things that you like or dislike or you want to talk about.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's with the timelines that they're doing and.
To you, Mayor Watson, just I guess kind of reiterating my point from earlier that we really do need to keep an eye on what the province is going to force upon the county and therefore us, and also kind of keep in mind what the official plan looks like for the county. I know at our last council meeting, there was quite a bit of concern from a lot of residents on what the county's vision was for the township. And just want to make sure that we're taking everything into consideration when we do this, because it would be horrible to have a strategic plan completed in January only for the province and county to come back with something and then force us to go back through the cycle again. So.
No, it's a fair point, and we'll carry that back to consultants as well. I think at county council last week, it was discussed around another matter, and I believe, I mean, nobody knows when these things are going to be approved, let's be honest, but I think there was a sense that it was going to happen this year, that like this fiscal year by year in 2023, for the PPS at least. So, you know, fingers crossed that the alignment of the timing of that will align with our process here. So we'll be better informed to make those strategic decisions, but it is a really good point, the implications of that and our future planning. Any other questions from council? Seeing none, all we need is a motion for adjournment. Councilor Johnson, Councilor Vervoort, all in favor? And that carries. Great, so we're back at 5 o'clock. A regular council meeting.